These socialist ideas are coming from California. I can't tell the difference between you or Governor Newsom. I can't tell the difference. I can't tell the difference if I have freedom to breathe free air or breathe it behind, sucking air behind this thing.
San Angelo is an interesting mix. A good percentage of the population here is rural and rural conservative, and yet at the same time, San Angelo is urban. On the one hand, we have people who believe that you should wear a mask.
And I really think it starts with wearing a mask. A mask to me is just the easiest, most simple and selfless thing that you can do for your friends, your family, your neighbors.
And then we have people on the other side of the aisle, and they don't want to live their life, I guess you could say, in fear.
I've never been one to go hide in a ditch somewhere. I'm gonna go on. If the good Lord wanted me to die by a bug, I'd die by a bug. And that mask or nothing else is gonna stop that.
And we see this as sort of a perfect storm. That has unfortunately led to a surge in cases.
I do this several times a day. This has been a little workhorse for 18 months. So here's my other ones, my other reports. So yeah, at least this is for today so far. And it's only 10 o'clock. I would say we might get another printing in about an hour. Today is gonna be a high number day, I can already tell. It's kind of hard, yeah, when you can't really follow your pandemic plans.
The new mask divide, Texas banning masks mandates in places, including schools.
By the middle of next month, the U.S. may finally be a united nation, broadly implementing the CDC's new guidance for the fully vaccinated. But today in Texas, the governor issuing an executive order banning some entities from requiring masks, with violators facing a possible $1,000 fine.
You know, our pandemic plans that we have exercised basically for years and years. I mean, we have practiced these through tabletops with our stakeholders, our partners. But one of the things that was part of that were non-pharmaceutical interventions. You know, yeah, social distancing, the mask wearing, closures, and those types of things. And that has always been part of our plan, but now it's like we really can't exercise those.
What's the message? Well, the message is defined. We cannot make you wear masks. We are not going to close the businesses. We are not going to reduce occupancies because we've been told we can't. But you do know what it means when we say taking personal responsibility. If you are nervous and you own a business, you don't have to open the doors. If you have a weak immune system, you don't have to go out. But there's also resentment in citizens when they go, I shouldn't have to be forced to stay in my house because somebody else won't practice personal responsibility.
Some people will let that stop them from living, but I don't think they should. Go ahead and live your life. And whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
We continue to get in new videos from the iconic Village apartment fire burning right now in San Marcos.
I was burned July 20th, 2018 in an arson apartment fire. I was burned on 68% of my body, full thickness. I became a double amputee within the first 2 weeks, losing all of my fingers on my left hand and most of the residual digits on my right hand. I went from hospital life and surgeries and rehab to quarantining in my house because there was a worldwide pandemic. And the last thing I wanted to do was spend more time in the hospital.
We don't know how it would affect his breathing because of smoke damage from the fire. He does have immune issues.
That's the quintessential biggest fear that we have is what would happen if Zach got COVID. I mean, he does have a compromised immune system. He does have a traumatic brain injury. Could it kill him? I don't know.
Who loves you, Zach?
My parents.
And who? Hello, don't forget about your girlfriend, me.
I had a severe traumatic brain injury. I'd had to have I think it was 3 craniotomies, 3 neurosurgeries. I've had 30 skin graft surgeries. Just recently I got a thumb. That was my most recent surgery, so that's the cherry on top. I can finally hold my mom's hand, I can feed myself, just kind of getting back to normal now. I think we as a family looked at it and said, I have spent far too much time in the hospital. The least we can do is be safe and be cautious, and if that means going online for education, then that's what we'll do.
I think when you're in the ER and when you're in the ICU, that's not politics. That's not religion. That's not social media. That's when reality hits you.
And one of the things that I find really interesting is the lack of, especially in my community, the lack of vaccines, like the lack of people not getting it or being too hesitant or saying they believe in conspiracy theories. I think, that stems from people believing they're the main character in their story, believing that they're infallible and that nothing can happen to them, because why would anything happen to the main character? I fell into that for sure when I moved out to college. I thought nothing could happen to me, that I was invincible. And I woke up 6 months later out of a coma, missing my skull, because I thought that I was invincible.
My health has nothing to do with you. It's not my job for your health. As harsh as that sounds, but our constitutional fundamental rights protect that. Nothing else. I'm sorry that comes off as blunt and that I don't care. I do care. I care more about freedom than I care about your personal health.
Talking about Caleb Wallace is important. Here you have a gentleman who, very conservative, didn't believe in masks, didn't believe that COVID-19 was as serious as what it needed to be. He was a staunch opponent of any kind of mandate or any kind of health official telling you what you could and could not do.
So where's the accountability? Who's putting checks and balances on Shannon Hospital with the data collection? Because at the 9 a.m. phone calls you guys talk about every day, the citizens are involved. We don't get a say. Who's putting the checks and balances?
At the same time, Caleb Wallace was a father. He was a father of 3, soon to be 4. He was a husband. He was a son. He was a person just like you or me, and he got sick.
Caleb, when he was in the hospital, I'm praying for you. I'm telling you, I'm praying every hour for you. You need to make it out of that hospital, and he still thought he had a chance.
We started photographing just the kids playing outside on the swing, and Jessica suggested that they could try and contact the hospital and see if they could get Caleb on a video call and talk to him. He was intubated at that time and very, very ill with COVID and sedated.
He's unresponsive. He's intubated. She's pleading with him to fight. And he can't say anything. That's sad.
And so that was extremely difficult to witness, especially from a personal level for me, because I went through a very similar experience. I lost my father in October of 2020 to COVID. Some of the things that they were saying to Caleb Wallace were the exact same things I said to my dad. You gotta fight. You gotta fight a little longer, and we want you to get better, and we love you, and come home. And unfortunately, he didn't. So yeah, that was an extremely difficult situation, just because I went through almost the exact same thing.
Jessica told me something that it really tears at your heartstrings. That her 5-year-old daughter every day would remind their mother, if they hadn't made that phone call to talk to their daddy, that They need to call Shannon. And Jessica Wallace told me that her 5-year-old daughter would say, "I have to talk to the doctors, Mommy. I have to tell them to make sure that my daddy stays well." That's such a hard thing. It's incredibly sad. His family was going through hell, and no family should have to go through that.
Whatever strength you have as an individual, you start to lose when you're health compromised.
Mayor Gunter, to be just a statement, I'm quite disappointed with your reaction to this.
And he shared with me one day, he said, "You know what? You and I have a lot of differences of opinion on many things," but he said, "My wife says that she hopes our 3 girls grow up to be just like you."
What does that do to you?
You want to cry. I mean, you hurt for that. You know, you hurt for that family right now, and knowing, you know, and that's why I say to people, make sure you go to the people who really do have the correct information, because one bad choice can be very devastating.
Hey everyone, Cody Broadway here. Thank you so much for taking the time to check out the NBCLX YouTube channel. Be sure to click here for more videos, and also click here to subscribe to join the NBCLX community.